Manchester United, don't do this to me again. After a very promising first season under Erik ten Hag, United just collapsed again this season. And I thought it was time, as we head towards the end of the season, to make a video about how I think United should try and resolve some of these issues and how I think they should line up next season. I've made the lineup and everything. And quite a lot of exits, some new faces coming in, and the lineup I made at the end is what I'll be talking about today. And please go ahead and subscribe, and here we go. Man United again. While you can't say that Man United's problems are entirely their own fault, because they've had terrible ownership for the past 15 plus years, and they've had over 55 injuries this season, which is absurd, especially in key areas to really important players. We've had maybe 12 or 13 different centre-back partnerships in the Premier League alone this season, so you can see how ridiculous that is in terms of the injuries. We definitely need a midfield revamp, some tweaks to the attack, and some new defenders coming in. We also need to clear the club of a lot of deadwood, so that's what I'll start off with. Getting rid of the players that aren't really needed anymore, the deadwood really. First player I have on the chopping block is quite a shocker. It's a player who's been at the club longer than any other. It's Luke Shaw. And the reason for that is I think he's very, very injury prone, and when he plays, he is quite inconsistent. He has delivered some incredible performances, some really good seasons in the past. He was quite solid last season, but I think it's time for him to move on. And left back is a position where we've had the biggest problems this season. We've had to play Amrabat there a lot of times. We've had to play all sorts of players there. Nowadays, I think it's Wan-Bissaka and Dalot who are on the full backs. Both of them are right backs. And Malacia has been out for the whole season. So I think it's time we replace Shaw with someone more fresh, younger, better. And he's valued at 35 million, and I'm very sure that his value will not increase, and he won't be playing the Euros anyway, so I think there isn't really a point of retaining Luke Shaw for even more when we can gain someone younger, fresher, who might be a little hungrier, because United have a huge mentality problem, and I think the 35 million would work well, especially because there's all these new financial fair play regulations. There's only a certain amount of money that owners can put in and whatnot, so I think it's time we say goodbye to Luke Shaw, with all due respect. While Luke Shaw has been in the club for a very long time and served the club a very long time, this player cannot really say the same. He's also been in the club a very long time, and he's been rubbish for most of that time, and he's shown a very lazy attitude. It's Anthony Martial. Contract is up at the end of the season. Without a doubt, he has to go. It's been terrible since maybe 2020 onwards, and even before then he was very inconsistent. I really think he should have been dumped out in 2020, 2021, but he's known as the master of playing for the contract. Whenever his contract's running up, he hits up with a little bit of form. Injuries all the time, lazy attitudes. You see him on the pitch, he's walking around, never running, lazy, moping around. Not the kind of player you want at United. Terrible influence on younger players like Højlund, and I think we need a much better striker, which I will get to in the arrivals transfers section of this video. But Martial is a must-go. I think he's grinded our wage bill, wasted our money, and put the club in a worse situation. I think he's caused much more problems than he has done good. So get out, Martial. Next player, Brandon Williams. I know he's young and the like, and we need left backs, but I think he's been at the club for too long, hasn't shown any promise whenever he's played, and we've seen stuff that indicates that he has a bad attitude, and I think best for his own career and best for the club that he just goes this summer. His contract is also up, and I think it's just time we just let him, Martial, go as well. Just clear out all the deadwood and focus on a new couple of players. But in terms of youngsters in general, I'm all for Ten Hag putting more youngsters in to the team. So yeah, but not Brandon Williams. Next up, Amrabat. Amrabat he came in with a huge expectation after we played pretty poorly the first couple of games. We loaned him in from Fiorentina. Had huge expectations from everyone. I thought he was going to, fix things up in a way similar to Casemiro did last season. After we lost the first two games, Casemiro came in and we ended up having a pretty solid season. But Amrabat, unfortunately, he hasn't done the same. I mean, he has struggled with some injuries, but I think we don't trigger his buy option at all. We just send him back to Fiorentina, thank him for whatever he's done for us, but he didn't do very much. So, yeah. Next up, Christian Eriksen. Well, he was one of Ten Hag's very, very first signings, and those first couple of months, fantastic player. You know, the passes he was giving, he had a great connection with Casemiro and Bruno, and actually I think there was a stat that whenever those three started a game together, we didn't lose a single game last season. So, yeah, I think that was incredible. But he had an injury in like January, February of last year, and then after that, it kept him out for a while, and then it really bogged him down when he came back. He seemed to have lost a lot of speed, a lot of sort of his impactfulness. You know, you see like the age got him really fast or something. I'm not sure, but he wasn't the same player after that injury. He still had some good moments. I remember start of the season he gave a good pass to Marcus Rashford when he scored against Arsenal, but ultimately didn't make a difference. Well, we went on to lose that game, and I think Eriksen's time as United player has come, and he would be valued at 10 million. Not a lot, but United need all the money we can get for the big rebuild that we need this summer, which I'll be going into in more detail later on in the video. So yeah, thank you very much, Christian Eriksen, but it's time to go. Donny van de Beek. Why do I even have to explain this at this point? He's been completely useless as a player. I mean, sometimes I do feel bad for him, but when he has played, he's had zero impact. Always injured. I mean, not really always injured, but never played, never given the right chance. He's not the right fit for the club. He should move on, try and save his career. No chance of him staying. He is valued at... Never mind, I haven't got it here. He's that useless. So yeah, Donny van de Beek absolutely has to go. Actually, I don't think he's worth much anymore. So yeah, complete flop. Jadon Sancho, complete disgrace to the football club. I think he's embarrassed every supporter of Manchester United, everyone working at the club, all of his teammates. Wherever he can go and piss off to Dortmund, do whatever he wants. I think he's completely let everyone down, and he has to go. Worth 25 to 35 million. Get rid of him. First opportunity comes. Don't care if it's from Saudi, Dortmund, where the problematic winger is Antony. I think that you can consider him a pretty huge flop, because I think from a recruitment point of view is one of the worst wastes of money known to man to bring him in here. However, I think he's not an awful player, and I think he could still do well for the club, but I think his performances this season especially have been unacceptable. So to compromise, I think we should loan him out for 6 months to a year, let him come back, freshen up, hopefully find some form again, and let's see what he can contribute, because I think unlike Sancho, he's a good lad. You can see him trying to do what he can, you know. He's not lazy in that sense, you know. I think Antony does have a future. Okay, next up, Victor Lindelof. He's valued at 15 million, but he has been a great servant to the club over all these years. However, I think if we want to challenge for titles and the like, I think he's just not the level anymore to be our starting centre-back, and he hasn't started games the last 2-3 years, and I think it's better for him just to move on. We can bring on some younger players, and yeah, but he has been a good servant of the club. And now for the biggest and most important call of this video, Marcus Rashford. I have spoken about him more than any other player on this channel, and I'm going to speak about him once more. The talent is there. The attitude, it was there. About now, I don't know. After his activities, late nights in Belfast, whatever he's doing, I don't think it's right. Not the right attitude, not what we knew from him before. And if he did go, it would have been 70 million plus coming into the club for sure. However, I've defended him in the past. I think I'm going to defend him one last time. I think we give him next season, tell him to get his head up, get out of these parties, focus on his football like he was before. Get that, mentality, pointing to the head, all of that, get that back, focus on himself, because he can really be the spark on this team. And as for, there is a really loud call from a lot of United supporters groups like the United Stand and the like of that to sell him. However, I do think if Sir Alex was at the club, he would have given Marcus Rashford one more chance. I think Marcus Rashford, he's, homegrown lad, given everything for the club before. I think he can keep doing that. I mean, it's not his first bad season, but I really do think that if we believe in him, give him the chance to nurture himself, he can get back on his feet, start playing well, focusing on his football. But I do, at the same time, definitely believe this should be his last chance. If anything like this happens again, Belfast or anything else that he was doing, I think he has to go. Has to move on from him. If he does that again, he's gonna prove me wrong in supporting him, prove all the other people that have supported him, and he's gonna prove everyone who's criticized him, thrown all this slander at him, to be correct. So I think that's on him now to do what he wants with his career. And I'll get into more details of how we introduce him when I get to the lineup part of the video. That I've made that huge call to give Rashford one more chance. Now on to another controversial topic, Mason Greenwood. Now I'm moving into the incoming side of this. I think we should get Mason Greenwood back because I think he's done reasonably well at Getafe for someone who hasn't played in 2 years. So, and despite all of the court cases and the like, I think that he's been declared a free man. He's been allowed to play by FIFA. So I think, United should just get him back in, because it's not like it's some sort of great abuse of justice or whatever if he's already been allowed to play. So I think we should bring him back. It would cause a stir, but I think ultimately we're a football club, not some sort of PR machine. So I think we should let him play, give him a chance, because he was developing very well under Oli. I think he should be given the chance to do that under Ten Hag as well. I think our first big incoming transfer should be Theo Hernandez, left back. I said at the start when I was talking about Luke Shaw, we do need a left back in. He's valued at 60 million. Of course, United being United, we're going to have to massively overpay for that. But I think he's done well in different places, done well for the French national team. I think he'll be a great fit for the club. And he should come in. We've been linked with him for a long time. Let's make the deal happen. Get the upgrade at left back. Get Theo Hernandez in. The next player we should bring in is Benfica's João Neves. He's the player we've been linked with the most. I think, we needed some midfielder to replace Eriksen, and obviously Casemiro hasn't really got the legs anymore. So yeah, we do need someone coming into that midfield, and I think João Neves, we should bank on a young player. Of course, we're going to have to pay a huge fee. He's only valued at 45 million. He's like 19 years old, I think. But obviously, we're going to have to pay a lot more than that. However, I strongly believe that a young midfielder such as João Neves would be perfect. We've already had, I think, some negotiations according to what's in the papers. So that's great. Next up is a player who I think we really should have bought last summer. It's Todibo, who's playing at Nice, centre-back. We desperately need help at centre-back. Varane's not getting any younger, and Martinez is having a lot of injury problems. We desperately need some huge work done at that part of the pitch. So Todibo coming in from Nice, which is actually owned by Ineos, who's now got a stake in United. That might help out with things. Valued at 35 million, but obviously United will have to overpay for him. But I think he's actually been compared a lot with Rafa Varane, and yes, I did say we should keep Varane, but I think that he doesn't have too long left, and Todibo is the perfect sort of deputy who can come in for Varane, and yeah, it'll be great. Now, if you remember last season when we played Crystal Palace away, Eze scored a fantastic free kick, and we've been heavily linked to him for some time now. I think he'd be a great fit because we do need players with some more attacking flair. Bruno Fernandes can't do everything on his own, especially since we've got, Sancho, Martial and the like leaving. So I do think that Eze would be a good addition to the squad, who could bring some flair, get some attacking links in, link up with the younger attacks that we have. So yeah, I do think that Eze would be a good transfer into the club. And he is valued at just 48 million. So again, United tax, but still good transfer in. He's another player we really should have signed 1 or 2 years ago. It's Mohamed Kudus, who's done fantastically well at West Ham. Electric winger. He's going to bring a whole new dimension to our attack to replace the loaned out Anthony, the sold Sancho and the like. I think he's going to bring some new magic into our attack. A lot of pace, a lot of power. He could link up so well with Garnacho and Højlund. It'd be fantastic. And he is valued at 50 million. I think the sum we're going to have to pay is going to be close to 75 to 100, but worth every penny in my opinion. For the big one, how I think Manchester United should line up next season. So I have stuck with Anver Hernan goal. I know he had an awful start to the season, but I think he's really picked himself up, proved he can, you know, do it. And he could be even as good as De Gea if we keep letting him flourish. Yeah, he's had some shaky moments against Coventry, yeah, but I think we should keep letting him flourish. Okay, in front of him, Tobido, the new arrival, was going to partner Lisandro Martinez, who I hope will do better. And underneath them, as you can see, I've got the players who I think should sort of fill in for those players as second choice. I've got Harry Maguire, who's had such a comeback. I'd have put him there, for the other side of my position, I've put Varane, who I think is fantastic, but I think Tobido should start over him once all are fully fit. And then on the flanks, I've got Dalot, who's had a fantastic season, by far the best season of his career. And then on the other side, I've got Theo Hernandez. We can have Wan-Bissaka and Malacia deputizing on either side. And now for the midfield, I've decided to bench Casemiro and give Mason Mount that start. I think he is a player who can do fantastically well for United. Had a terrible season, but I think he has it in him. And I think he has done very well towards the end of the season. Partnering him, Kobbie Mainoo, by far the best young player in the Premier League. Fantastic. Everything he does is just magical. Okay, and then deputizing with them should be Casemiro, obviously, and then João Neves. Okay, and now Bruno Fernandes goes in front of him. The captain had a solid season himself as well. Deputizing for him should be McTominay, the clutch guy. Then on the wings, I decided to bench Marcus Rashford because of the awful season he's had. Hopefully that will motivate him to pick himself up and go back to his form of last season. But Garnacho's a definite start. Rashford deputizing for him. On the other side, we can have Kudus, the electric winger, which we're going to sign hopefully. Then Eze deputizing for him. Up top, Rasmus Højlund, what a player. He'll hopefully continue balling, scoring goals. Then we can have Greenwood deputizing for him. So there you go. That is how I believe Man United should line up next season. The transfers we should make, who should go out, who should come in. Then again, this is just my opinion, and I really hope you enjoyed, and I hope Man United is better. Please subscribe, and I hope you enjoyed the video.